In the Republika Srpska, though, Russian influence can be found everywhere. Ivana Korelic is executive director of the NGO Transparency International in Bosnia. One of Dodik's personal foes, she has been denouncing the local corruption for years, directly or through foreign countries.
Pošto mi smo juče diskutovali kome se prvo obrati, ja sam rekla zato prvo da idemo na ministarstvo, pa...
Dayton agreement makes our job more difficult in terms of having to basically monitor 13 or 14 governments at the same time, having to look at all the levels of the government, and basically having too many people in a position to have power, to have the opportunity to steal public funds, to abuse their positions.
For Ivana and her team, the privatization of the oil industry in the Republika Srpska is a textbook case, with covert payments and kickbacks.
The industry was bought supposedly by two Russian companies, Neftgazinkor and Zarubezhneft. But there is still a large percentage of ownership of this group of investors that is suspected to actually belong to people from the local government, either Dodik or people close to him. We can only speculate because this was kept secret. And the so-called consortium of the companies who bought the refinery was seated in Moscow at a post office box, you know.
This was all a project to basically, on one hand, launder dirty money, on the other, loot the resources here and extract these funds somewhere else.
In recent years, Milorad Dodik has tried many ways of pleasing Moscow. This temple, dedicated to Serbian and Russian friendship, will stand right in the heart of Banja Luka, close to the central administration and public television. But the Russian funding for the project has yet to arrive.
It's a strange temple, just one of the examples of Milorad Dodik here in Republika Srpska, showing that he has great relationship with Putin, with Russian officials. It was presented as a part of the Russia investing in Republika Srpska. At the same time, all of the money for this, the construction of this object basically came either from Republika Srpska or from Serbia.
In Bosnia, the fight against corruption remains complicated. In Sarajevo, Transparency International has invited all parties to discuss the issue. All parties have responded, all except Dodik's Serbian Social Democratic Party and the Croatian Democratic Union. In Parliament, these parties have blocked anti-corruption laws required by the EU. Their leaders carry on doing business.
These autocrats like to hang out together and support each other. So recently, when there was a situation and talk about sanctioning Dodik for his secessionist intentions, Orban was his biggest ally within the EU, basically coming to Banja Luka to meet him in a restaurant where they made all sorts of deals. And after that, we can see an increase of the Hungarian money and companies, including money for agriculture, but also concessions for solar plants. This can be seen as a consequence of this support because nobody is giving anything for free.
Collusions and corruptions are ravaging even Bosnia's famous rivers. For years, activist Sabina Sabic has been fighting with many environmental groups against the construction of so-called mini dams. But here too, the Dayton legacy makes their life complicated.
Drina, Sava, sve veće rijeke zapravo protiču kroz cijeli Balkan i one nas spajaju, zaista. Nažalost, da strani investitori, znajući da mogu dobiti dozvole preko reda ili graditi bez dozvola ili da mogu pomjeriti zakon da bi se jedna velika brana napravila, dolaze na Balkan. Dolaze da kopaju rudnike i naši prirodni resursi su već godinama, ako ne i deceniju, ugroženi kao i naši životi.
Like many other activists, Sabina regularly comes across disputed construction sites of mini dams. Some 3,000 are slated throughout the Balkans. In Bosnia alone, 150 have been constructed, with permits often obtained through bribery. Investors are local or come from Serbia, Austria, and even China, attracted by the Balkans' hydropower and raw materials. In Tuzla, one of Europe's most polluted cities, Chinese entrepreneurs have been trying to expand the operation of a huge coal power plant. So far, the city and its inhabitants have resisted. Meanwhile, in the Republika Srpska, China has recently signed contracts to build highways. In Sarajevo, Sabina and a coalition of NGOs have recently managed to prohibit the construction of dams, a real victory. But because of Dayton, the decision is only valid for the Federation, half of the country. To apply it to the Republika Srpska would need another court decision.
That's the absurd of Bosnia. That Bosnia and Herzegovina has such beautiful nature. You have now many of the Arab tourists coming here just to enjoy this.
Sabina continues to fight, but she knows that the control of the big parties over the country's politics and economy is tough.
It is easier if you join some of the parties to get a job, because they are buying your loyalty and your votes, and then they can control the institutions. This is how it's easy to control people, some part of the citizens, because we are stuck